Hey, tonight I am going to put a new clutch pressure plate on a Ducati Monster 1100. So I bought this kit. This is a kit that I've used in the past. If you've seen some of my other videos of doing a dry clutch, the maker is HDESA. It's a machine shop in California, Stan. And this kit cost me $115. It's $109 plus, the tax that they charge on eBay. This company builds Ducati tools also. They don't just do, covers and pressure plates, springs, that kind of thing. But they also make all the tools you need to work on your Ducati if you're doing like valves and stuff. So bear with me. I'm going to try to do this video narrating it as I work, because that way I don't have to jump in and edit this later. It may make for a longer video though, but that's alright. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this clutch cover. It's pretty simple. We're just going to break all of the bolts that are external loose. We're not going to break the ones that are inside loose. Those actually are going to hold our case together. So don't touch those. So there should be a couple long ones and a couple short ones. I've got two long ones out right now. And let's see what this one's going to be. This one feels like it's going to be the short one. Alright, so I ended up with, like I said, two short ones, two long ones. I'm going to stick those off to the side. My vented clutch cover comes off. I'll stick that out of the way. Now we can access our pressure plate. We're going to remove the little bolts that are in there that hold these caps on, and then we're going to pull this off. So easy enough. These little screws should not be tight. And what we're going to do is we're going to take off 4 of them and we're going to leave 2. But I'm just going to take a wrench and I'm going to break all these free. And then I'm going to take a T-handle and take them all out. So this is going to be a 4. I used a 5 to take these screws out. So now I'm going to take out 4 of these springs. I'm going to leave 2 on, and then those 2 are going to slowly relieve the pressure on the pressure plate. So what you see is a spring, a cap, and a screw. And it doesn't really matter what you do with these afterwards. These are the Ducati OEM from the factory. When I first serviced this bike, that was 3 years ago, October of 2020, when my buddy Kurt bought this bike. Now this bike belongs to me, and I decided I wanted a blue pressure plate, but I couldn't get a blue one. I could get a blue one, but I'd be still waiting weeks for it to come here from, I think, Italy is where they were coming from. But I decided just to go with the ones out of California because I know the company and I trust them. And I'm okay. The one that I got is called gunmetal, so I'm okay with the gunmetal clutch pressure plate. But it's going to look a lot better. When I did this bike 3 years ago, I had this red vented clutch cover sitting on the bench. A buddy of mine put the clutch cover on his 1198, and even though that looks like red to you and me against a black bike, when you put that up against a red bike, it looks very pink. And when I put it on the bike and I took a picture of it and sent it to my buddy, we both had the same thought, and you would probably agree if you saw the picture. it really makes the Ducati 1198 LGBTQ compatible when you put a pink vented clutch cover on a red bike. So I'm gonna tell you, if you're watching this and you got a red bike, don't put a anodized red cover on it. It doesn't look right. So this part, I would have expected this to come out a lot more difficult. I was hoping that the push rod would not come out with it, so I'm going to need to tap this push rod out, and it's just sitting in there, and you'll see where it's going to end up going inside that bearing. Alright, so I have the push rod out of the pressure plate. So you can see that there's some crud in here. So we're going to need to clean that up a little bit. So I'm just going to take some steel wool. And that looks pretty good right there. And in my little drawer, I have some marine grease. And I'm going to put a very light coat. Very light coat of marine grease on there. I'm going to slide this back through the motor. This is going to go, make sure that you have your O-ring end going into the motor. This is going to go through to your slave cylinder. So you see that's in there now. Get some paper towels over here to work with. Okay, now I got to get that cap out of there. So hang on to yourself, because it's going to bounce around in that camera. So as you can see, the road grime it's got this pretty well jacked up as well. So I'm going to take the steel wool and I'm going to hit it really nicely and clean it up a little bit. So that's a little bit better there. If all goes well, that should just drop right in. And it doesn't. So I'm hitting it a little bit more with the steel wool, but I'm going to end up having to tap it. I'm going to have to tap it into that bearing. If you're tapping it into that bearing, be very careful, all right? Because you do not want to ruin that bearing. You don't want to hit it too hard. So I'm going to take it over to the other side, and I'm going to just lightly tap it with the hammer. And I am using a 14mm socket. So I did take a 14mm socket. It fits on that inner bearing race there. It fits on that pretty well. And then I tapped it in that way. And yeah, the bearing feels pretty good. It's in there nice and snug. Alright, so with that said, we're going to take our clutch cover, our clutch pressure plate, we're going to take the clutch pressure plate, we're going to put it on the bike. We need to line it up so all these holes come through. And that is snug. I'm here to tell you that is snug. And then with your kit, you get these little caps. And you get springs. Those are stainless springs. And you get new stainless bolts. So we're going to take a cap, a spring, and a bolt. And the first one is always going to be the hardest. But if you can get the first one on without flipping your bike over, so mine is absolutely not lined up. That looks a lot better. It's not going to go on any easier, but it does look a lot better. Let me just tell you, it's a workout getting these on. And I think I lost one of the screws. You got to admit, that already looks better, doesn't it? And I definitely have lost one of the screws on the floor. It's always good times when you drop something on the floor and you can't find it. So I'm not tightening any of these down all the way. I'm just getting them in there a few turns. That way I can come back and I can tighten them down later. Alright, here's my last screw before I go screw hunting on the ground. Yeah, it's definitely not on the workbench anywhere. Oh, that was an easy find. Alright, this is my last screw, my last cap. So all I'm doing is I'm making their little logo kind of face outboard. And then I'm holding the cap so it's facing outboard while I tighten the screw. Yeah, it's going to be difficult getting those to all face outboard. So I'm going to skip that. I'm sure that the machine shop that built these would appreciate it. But since they wouldn't give me a pressure plate in blue, they're going to have to be happy with the job that I'm doing here. Alright, so these are all just snug, right? Yes, there are torque specs for this. There's torque specs. They're in your shop manual. Look it up if you want the torque specs. I don't give torque specs. But anytime you have a bolt with the spring, this is going to work just like a lock washer. You all see the lock washer? The lock washer looks like it's a spring. When you tighten the bolt down, that spring puts tension against the head of the bolt or the nut, whichever end you have the lock washer on. And that tension is what keeps your bolt or your nut from backing off. In this particular instance, this spring is going to put enough tension on this cap so this bolt is not going to back itself out. You saw already how easy it was for me to loosen all of those screws when I took it off. These were not super tight. And if you do tighten these down super tight and get them as tight as you possibly can, you, my friend, are going to break something. So we've got this on. And it is not fitting well inside the clutch basket. I should be able to pop this in and out with my clutch. Let's see if it will did it do anything? Did it do anything? I couldn't see over there. Oh yeah. Alright, cool. Cool, you guys actually did something right today. So if you look, your teeth are inside the clutch basket. I don't know how well you can see that. So that's what's gripping the clutch basket. When you grab the clutch, it pushes this pressure plate out of those teeth and allows your clutch discs to kind of chatter, if you will. So that's good. This is on. We made sure everything was tight. We'll hit it one more time. You see I'm not putting much on it. If I'm turning 8 foot-pounds of torque right now, that's plenty. Alright, let's jump on to putting our cover back on. Cover was pretty easy. We have 2 short bolts. Short bolt. Bottom. Short bolt. Top. Long bolt. Long bolt. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. My first day on the job. Sorry. Long bolt. And I'm pretty sure that you don't need that washer on them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. My memory serves me correctly. You don't need the washer on your cover. It doesn't fit, so you can't get the bolt down in the threads as deeply as you want them to. And it also makes those bolts look more flush mount. Much better. I think that looks a lot better, don't you? I don't know what I was thinking 3 years ago. I've probably done 10 of these clutch covers since then. And again, there's really no need for a torque wrench. You're not going bananas on this. But that's it. That's it. That's what it looks like. This clutch pressure plate is called gunmetal. It's gunmetal with stainless springs and black caps. I think blue would have really made this pop. But again, I didn't want to wait for blue to get here from overseas. And if you watched my last video on this bike, the walk around, I showed you my clamp that had a crack in it. Well, there's my $30 crack, or my $30 handlebar top clamp. So it came in, it was delivered a couple days ago, and it definitely looked like it came off a crashed bike. It came off a crashed bike, trust me. It was pretty bad. I bought it from a recycler off of eBay in Odessa, Florida, and they shipped it to me very quickly. As soon as I got it, I put it in the dishwasher with the loaded dishes, and when it came out, it looked brand spanking new. Then I took it and I painted it gloss black to kind of hide some of the imperfections that were on it from the crash. But it looks pretty good now. I like it. And it's functional. I don't have a big crack. I don't have to worry about my handlebars breaking off on a ride in the middle of a turn. But this was my video putting on a dry clutch pressure plate. I hope it helps you out. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good, I think, for the gunmetal. Blue would have looked better. The one I did on this bike was gold. Same manufacturer. Same bike. Same manufacturer. Yes, I do have two Ducati M1100s. But that's what it looks like when it's done. Come back in a few days. I'm going to do another video on this bike. I have belts still to come. I have a few other parts that I'm going to put on this bike. Then I'm going to go out and I am going to destroy these tires so I can get a brand new set of Road Sport 2s on this bike. So thanks for watching.